Welcome to Women Making a Difference, PJSAO women who inspire and motivate.
Artemis Moutsatsos, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Artemis, you know, our viewers get to hear from me all the time as the elected state's attorney, but you are working hard for our residents every single day. So why don't you tell our viewers about your role in the office?
Well, I've been an attorney for 17 years, and 11 of those 17 years I've been in the state's attorney's office. I've worked at the child and sex abuse unit, and now I'm in the homicide unit. I've been in the homicide unit for the last 3 years, where I start cases along with the detectives from the moment there's a death investigation all up until the end of trial. We work very closely with the police, reviewing search warrants, planning on what else we need to investigate, and we also work closely with our victim witness coordinators so that, you know, to keep the families informed and, you know, so that they're aware of what's going on all throughout the procedure.
You know, tell us about how you feel as an attorney working with the most sensitive cases I think we have in our office. I mean, those involving children, domestic violence, and now homicides. Oftentimes you're dealing with next to kin who are just grieving, who are, you know, at the worst moments of their lives. How do you put that in perspective and still do the work that you have to do?
Actually, I find it very empowering because when they come to me, they're already survivors. They've already survived what has occurred in their life. I have family members who have been murdered. I have family members who have been raped. So I know what it's like to be on the other side. So when they come in a way, I feel like I'm taking care of my family. And I treat them as if they were my family. I make sure that when they come in, they understand everything that's going on, that they're heard, and that they understand the process. It's a very difficult situation because, as you can imagine, going through trauma and then going through a system that is trials take forever.
Yeah.
It's something that they don't understand because, you know, watching it on TV, it takes 30 minutes from when a crime occurs, right? And here, it could take months, it could take years before they get any justice. So, you know, making sure that they understand they're heard, and it empowers me to see their strength.
Right. Yeah, you know, Artemis, I just feel your passion, and I've seen your passion in the courtroom, and I know that those whose families you represented, obviously you represent our entire community, but those who you're fighting to get justice for, who are victims, I know that they feel that you are putting your all into their cases, and whether you win or in a case where you may not be successful, I think what happens is that the people who you're in there fighting for feel like you've put it all on the line, like there's nothing else you could or would have done. Obviously, you're more successful than when we have disappointing outcomes. I think you've had more positive outcomes, but you know you can't win them all. But you can still fight as hard as you're able to, and that's what you do, and that's why I respect you so much, and that passion and fire you bring to our office is just so unbelievably important. So thank you so much. I know that this is Hispanic Heritage Month, and I know that you have a very diverse background, and not unlike many people in our community. So can you talk about what Hispanic Heritage Month means to you, and also talk about how your role in this office helps to provide, you know, more access to people in our diverse community here in Prince George's County?
Yes, it is Hispanic Heritage Month. It actually starts on my birthday, so it's even more meaningful to me. It means family and it means pride. I think what unites all of us as Hispanic is our foundation in family and in our language and in our pride. I think it's a time, I know the way I celebrate it is we have all these events going on. A lot of the Independence Days are around that month. That's why they chose September 15th to October 15th. Most people don't know, but Cinco de Mayo is actually not Mexico's Independence Day. The 16th of September is. Most Central American countries have their Independence Day on the 15th, 16th, around that time. So there's all these events going on, but it's also a time to take pride in what we have contributed to this society, what we have contributed to the United States as productive, members of what makes America so wonderful. And what I contribute, what I give to our community is a face that they recognize, someone they could talk to directly, not through an interpreter. I think especially when I was doing my sex cases, it was easy for them to talk to me because they could trust their kids with me because we were speaking the same language. I understand their culture. I know where they come from. I come from the same area. So it's easier for them to communicate with me. And I understand little minute cultural differences that most people wouldn't know. And so I know to ask further questions when they answer a certain way because of the manner in which they communicate.
Yeah, and that's so important. And, can you tell us just a little bit about like why you decided to become a prosecutor? Obviously, to me, it's in your blood, like you were born to do this work. but who or what inspired you to, number one, go into law and then become a prosecutor?
Well, I've always wanted to be a prosecutor. My dad had, when I was a kid, when he would go to work, he would always take me with him, and we would pass by the courthouse, and I used to tell him, that's the courthouse I'm going to work in, not knowing what it was, right? And then, unfortunately, when I was 7 years old, I witnessed my dad worked in a restaurant, and two chefs got into an argument, and one stabbed the other one pretty profusely, and I was the eyewitness to that. So just going through that process, being interviewed, and having to deal with that court process really got me inspired to do it. And I was really interested in doing also like sex crimes because my grandmother was a victim of rape, and as a result had my aunt. And watching how my grandmother never had it reported, never obtained justice, medicated herself through alcoholism, and was villainized that way. And this other person walked freely, impulsed me to fight for victims' rights.
Wow. And I see how you fight for our victims. Can you tell us about some of your maybe one or two of your most challenging cases?
I had this one case where the victim she was Hispanic, and she was deaf and had mental retardation. As a result, she was very reliant on her family, and she worked in one of the hotels. At the hotels that she was working at, she would wash the clothes and fold them. That was her job. Her dad was dying of cancer. And so at that point, her mother, even though worked there, really didn't pay so much attention to her because she was dealing with running around, going to the hospitals, and coming back to the job, trying to get everything done. And this young lady was raped while she was at her job. No one knew about it until she started punching her stomach. When she started punching her stomach, they were like, "Oh, what's going on?" She's nonverbal, so they took her to the doctor, and they realized she was pregnant, and she had the child, and we went to trial on that, and the defendant was claiming that this was consensual. And it was very difficult because I actually inherited the case. It wasn't actually my case, it was my colleague's case, but my colleague couldn't try it. and she didn't want this to get postponed any further. So I received it on Friday, and Monday was a trial. It was difficult with a victim who obviously was targeted because of her lack of communication, her ability to communicate, but justice prevailed and justice allowed her to speak. We got a just outcome on that.
Oh, very good. Very good. Like I said, I've seen you in court. I know that you get great outcomes for victims. And I know that, again, you put your all into it. Right now there's a focus nationally and also locally on reform and police reform, and then generally criminal justice reform. And, our office is a part of that conversation. So can you talk about what you look at as challenges and maybe opportunities for our profession as we move forward in this era of reform?
I think we could all grow from, I think we all need to evaluate ourselves. I think it's time to evaluate also, us as prosecutors. Are we always doing what's just? Evaluate. I think everybody should always constantly be in evaluation. I think this is an opportunity to talk to the community. And I think there's a disconnect between the police and the community. And it's time that we all sit down and talk and figure out, a way in which we could work together and not against each other.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. So look, I know we're nearing the end, and I hear your little bundle of joy in the background. So congratulations being
Thank
a new
you.
mom. Absolutely. So do you have any, just parting thoughts, any advice you might want to give to new or aspiring attorneys?
I think if you have passion for this, then you should do it. It always seems difficult until it's done. Nothing is impossible. When your victims are strong and they're willing to speak up, then you shouldn't be scared. You should speak up and you should fight hard. And justice will prevail.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a great way to end this conversation. So thank you so much, Artemis, again, for all the great work you do in our office. And thank you for sharing your experiences here today.
Thank you.